Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bedtime Stories. I'm so excited to be reading. I don't always get to read each month because I love to highlight people in the community and those who are part of our Birth into Books family. But I have the pleasure of being your guest reader tonight. And so I'm excited because tonight's book is actually one of my favorite children's stories. Again, one of my absolute favorite children's stories we're going to read tonight for bedtime stories. So, as you're coming on in, share this video. As you see at the bottom, join our mailing list so you can stay connected to all of our amazing programs. But tonight will be bedtime stories with me, Jurema. If you don't know me, I'm Jurema, the founder and executive director of Birth into Books. And I'm actually going to take this off so you can see the title of this amazing story tonight. So tonight, we are going to read Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters. If you have ever read or seen this amazing story, just even reenacted, just put in the chat if you love it. But I am looking forward to reading tonight, so we're going to jump right in. So again, we're reading Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters. It is an African tale. A long time ago, in a certain place in Africa, a small village lay across a river and half a day's journey from a city where a great king lived. A man named Mufaro lived in this village, and his two daughters, who were named Manyara and Miasha. Everyone agreed that Manyara and Miasha were very beautiful. Manyara was almost always in a bad temper. She teased her sister whenever their father's back was turned, and she had been heard to say, "Someday, Miasha, I will be queen, and you will be a servant in my household." "If that should come to pass," Miasha responded, "I would be pleased to serve you. But why do you say such things? You are clever and strong and beautiful. Why are you so unhappy?" "Because everyone talks about how kind you are, and they praise everything you do," Manyara replied. "I'm certain that father loves you best. But when I am queen, everyone will know that your silly kindness is only weakness." You see her sister, Manyara, Miasha. Miasha was sad that Manyara felt this way, but she ignored her sister's words and went about her chores. Miasha kept a small plot of land on which she grew melon, sunflowers, yams, and vegetables. She always sang as she worked, and some said it was her singing that made her crops more bountiful than anyone else. One day, Miasha noticed a small garden snake resting beneath a yam vine. "Good day, little Nyoka," she called to him. "You are welcome here. You will keep away any creatures who might spoil my vegetables." She bent forward, gave the little snake a loving pat on the head, and then returned to her work. From that day on, Nyoka was always at Miyasha's side when she tended her garden. It was said that she sang all the more sweetly when he was there. So if you're just joining us, we are reading Pharaoh's Beautiful Daughters, an African tale. We have the daughter Miasha singing in her garden. Mufaro knew nothing about Manyara's the way Manyara treated Miasha. Miasha was too considerate of her father's feelings to complain, and Manyara was always careful to behave herself when Mufaro was around. Early one morning, a messenger from the city arrived. The great king wanted a wife. The most worthy and beautiful daughters in the land are invited to appear before the king, and he will choose one to become queen, the messenger proclaimed. Mufaro called Manyara and Miasha to him. "It will be a great honor to have one of you chosen," he said. "Prepare yourselves to journey to the city. I will call together all our friends to make a wedding party. We will leave tomorrow as the sun rises. But my father, Manyara said sweetly, it would be painful for either of us to leave you, even to be wife to the king. I know Miasha would grieve to death if she were parted from you. I am strong. Send me to the city, and let poor Nyasha be happy here with you. Mufaro beamed with pride. The king has asked for the most worthy and the most beautiful. No, Manyara, I cannot send you alone. Only a king can choose between two such worthy daughters. Both of you must go. So you all already know. Manyara, she's trying to be sneaky. So that's Mufaro and his daughter. That night, when everyone was asleep, Manyara stole quietly out of the village. She had never been in the forest that night before, and she was frightened. But her greed to be the first to appear before the king drove her on. In her hurry, she almost stumbled over a small boy who suddenly appeared, standing in the path. Please, said the boy, I'm hungry. Will you give me something to eat? I have brought only enough for myself, Mayara replied. But please, said the boy, I am so very hungry. But out of my way, boy. Tomorrow I will become your queen. How dare you stand in my path? You see Mayara with the young boy. After traveling for what seemed like a great distance, Manyara came to a small clearing. There, silhouetted against the moonlight, was an old woman seated on a large stone. The old woman spoke. I will give you some advice, Manyara. Soon after you pass the place where two paths cross, you will see a grove of trees. They will laugh at you. You must not laugh in return. Later, you will meet a man with his head under his arm. You must be polite to him. How do you know my name? And how dare you advise your future queen? Stand aside, you ugly old woman, Manyara scolded, and then rushed on her way without looking back. Just as the old woman had foretold, Manyara came to a grove of trees, and they indeed seemed to be laughing at her. I must be calm, Manyara thought. I will not be frightened. She looked up at the trees and laughed out loud. I laugh at you, trees, she shouted, as she hurried on. It was not yet dawn when Manyara heard the sound of rushing water. The water must be ahead, she thought. The great city is just on the other side. But there, on the rise, she saw a man with his head tucked under his arm. Manyara ran past him without speaking. A queen acknowledges only those who please her, she said to herself. I will be queen, I will be queen, she chanted as she hurried on toward the city. So you see the older woman speaking to her, and then you see Manyara rushing off. I love the story, y'all. Miasha woke at the first light of dawn. As she put on her finest garments, she thought how her life might change forever beyond this day. I much prefer to live here, she admitted to herself. I hate to leave this village and never see my father or sing to little Nayoka again. Her thoughts were interrupted by loud shouts and a commotion from the wedding party assembled outside. Mayara was missing. Everyone bustled about, searching and calling for her. When they found her footprints on the path that led to the city, they decided to go on as planned. As the wedding party moved through the forest, brightly plumed birds darted out in the cool green shadows beneath the trees. Though anxious about her sister, Miasha was soon filled with excitement about all there was to see. They were deep in the forest when she saw the small boy standing by the side of the path. You must be hungry, she said, and handed him a yam as she brought from her lunch. The boy smiled and disappeared as quietly as he had come. Later, as they were approaching the place where the two paths crossed, the old woman appeared and silently pointed the way to the city. Miasha thanked her and gave her a small pouch filled with sunflower seeds. The sun was high in the sky when the party came to the grove of towering trees. Their utmost branches seemed to bow down to Nyasha as she passed beneath them. At last, someone announced that they were near their destination. So right away, you all, we can notice the difference between Manyara and Nyasha and how they treat people and what they're thinking, and even their approach to others. So let's see what happens next. Miasha ran ahead and topped the rise before the others could catch up with her. She stood transfixed at her first sight of the city. "Oh, my father," she called, "a great spirit must stand guard here. Just look at what lies before us. I never in all my life dreamed there could be anything so beautiful." Miasha and her dad in the background. Arm in arm, Nyasha and her father descended the hill, crossed the river, and approached the city gate. Just as they entered through the great doors, the air was rent with piercing cries, and Manyara ran wildly out of a chamber at the center of the enclosure. When she saw Nyasha, she fell upon her, sobbing, "Do not go to the king, my sister. Oh, please, father, do not let her go," she cried hysterically. "There's a great monster there, a snake with 5 heads. He said that he knew all my faults and that I displeased him. He would have swallowed me alive if I had not run. Oh, my sister, please do not go inside that place." It frightened Miasha to see her sister so upset. But leaving her father to comfort Manyara, she bravely made her way to the chamber and opened the door. What do you think might happen next? On the seat of the great chief's stool lay the little green garden snake. Miasha laughed with relief and joy. "My little friend," she exclaimed, "it's such a pleasure to see you. But why are you here?" "I am the king," Nyoka replied. And there, before Nyasha's eyes, the garden snake changed shape. So the whole time, Nyasha has been talking to the king. Remember, in the garden, little Nyoka. "I am the king, and I'm also the hungry boy with whom you shared a yam in the forest, and the old woman to whom you made a gift of sunflower seeds. But you know me best as Nyoka, because I have been all of these. I know you to be the most worthy and most beautiful daughter in the land. It would make me very happy if you would be my wife." So here's the king. And so it was that, a long time ago, Nyasha agreed to be married. The king's mother and sisters took Nyasha to their house, and the wedding preparations began. The best weavers in the land laid out their finest cloth for her wedding garments. Villagers from all around were invited to the celebration, and a great feast was held. Nyasha prepared the bread for the wedding feast from millets that had been brought from her village. Mufaro proclaimed to all who would hear him that he was the happiest father in all the land, for he was blessed with 2 beautiful and worthy daughters, Nyasha, the queen, and Manyara, a servant in the queen's household. And here's the ending picture. So, today's bedtime story was Mufaro's beautiful daughters. Let me just share why I love this story so much. One, it's a story just about character. I think so many times, especially when it comes to our young people, we can get so just delusional with looks, and looks matter, right? Both of the sisters were beautiful. They were absolutely beautiful. However, at the end of the day, what the king was looking for was someone of character. And he was able to see her character in the way she treated those around her, even strangers. And so this is just a great lesson, you all, who's ever watching, that at the end of the day, it's important to be kind. It's important to love. It's important to be considerate to those you know and you don't know. And again, her older sister, Manyara, was like, "You're going to be a servant for me." And Nyasha's her respond was so pleasant, right? She said it would be a pleasure to work with you. She loved her sister. But at the end, because of her great character, Nyasha actually ended up being queen and her sister ended up being her servant. So again, Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters is an amazing, amazing book. If you don't already own it, add it to your home library. That is Bedtime Stories tonight with me, Jurema Gorham. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next Monday with our next guest author. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye.